Good afternoon. It's Thursday, the 19th of February. I'm Ariel O'Sullivan, and this is IBA News broadcasting from Jerusalem. Stocking up on food supplies became a national priority today across the country as the public prepared for stormy weather, with forecasters promising snow in Jerusalem and low-lying areas and elsewhere in the country. By noon, Mount Hermon was shut down and snow fell in the Upper Galilee. IBA's Margaret Dudkevich filed this report.
Israelis are bracing for a mega storm, with snow expected to start falling in Jerusalem later this afternoon. This morning, intermittent rain showers fell from the north to the south of the country, with forecasters predicting strong winds and flash floods in some areas. Snow began falling over Mount Hermon last night and is predicted to spread to the northern and central mountain areas during the day. Weather forecasters describe the cold front as unusual, saying the cold air will lead to significant snowfall in the mountains and areas as low as 400 meters above sea level, something not typical in Israel. Today, schools remain shut in the north, and in Jerusalem a decision was made to close them at noon to allow pupils enough time to return to their homes before the snow kicks in. In supermarkets, long queues formed as the public stocked up on food supplies, purchasing enough to see them through until after the storm.
People are stocking up here for like 3-4 days. The snow will only be 1 day or maximum a day and a half. People are stocking up. The shops are empty. I've been here yesterday night. People are it's like mad. It's madness.
Bought some fish, pans, aluminum foil, getting ready for the Shabbat, everything else. I think they're going to shut down the roads, so it's a serious storm.
Police meanwhile warned the public the highway entrances to Jerusalem may close early as a preemptive measure. Jerusalem municipality officials called on residents to avoid traveling on local roads during the storm, except in emergencies. The army also deployed armored personnel carriers to the capital and elsewhere in the country, posting them near Magen David stations. In Beersheba, the capital of the south of the country, residents also brace for the cold weather, hoping for the first time in 15 years for snowflakes there. For those who live in the mountainous areas, stay warm, safe and enjoy building snowmen. And those who live in Tel Aviv and the coastal areas, beware of floods. Margaret Dudkevich, IBA News.
Well, joining me by phone now to discuss what we can expect with the storm is Alyssa Razi of the Israel Meteorological Service. Hi, Alyssa. Thanks for being with us.
My pleasure.
Well, let's start with the situation in the capital. When is it going to start snowing, and how much will be accumulated, do you think?
The snow will begin in Jerusalem in the next few hours, and the accumulation can be very significant, tens of centimeters. We had a significant storm event, of course, in December 2013, where there were 50 centimeters in Jerusalem total, and that's something that could potentially happen again with this storm.
Well, there have been reports that the snow will continue the following Friday. How many days can we expect this to last?
Friday will really be the last day of the snow, especially in the center. It will become a rain-snow mix Friday afternoon and then become rain by Friday night. And then on Saturday, there'll still be some rain, mainly in the center and south of the country. And Saturday will actually be the last day of rain in our forecast. And then on Sunday and Monday, we have rising temperatures with clouds, but no rain.
Well, we talked about Jerusalem and the snow. What about the other parts of the country? How will they be affected by this storm?
So we're expecting snow in all the mountains of the north and center, the Golan, the Galilee. There could even be rain-snow mix in the Carmel Mountains, light snow in Mount Negev. So basically, all the high and even not-so-high areas can expect to see very cold temperatures, and any precipitation that falls will at some point fall as snow.
You know, Alyssa, this year seems to be setting records for the number of storms. What's going on?
There definitely is the impression that there is a storm after storm after storm this year. We'll have to wait till the end of the season to do a proper climate review of exactly what happened, but certainly so far it feels like we've had quite a stormy winter.
Well, so far, as you say, but you know, we're only just in mid-February. Are more storms expected this year?
So far, our forecast only goes for the next 4 days, but anything is possible.
Is the Meteorological Service issuing any advisories to the public?
Well, we have advisories about specific weather phenomena like snow and strong winds and threat of risk of floods and flash floods. In terms of things like road conditions and other things, that's other authorities will issue those warnings.
Well, Alyssa Razi of the Israel Meteorological Service, thanks for your insight, and thanks again for being with us this afternoon.
My pleasure.
The United States has accused Israel of leaking inaccurate information about nuclear negotiations with Iran. The comments made by the White House spokesman intensified over the issue ahead of Prime Minister Netanyahu's contentious March visit to speak on the Iranian nuclear issue at a meeting of a joint session of Congress on March 3rd.
There's no question that some of the things that the Israelis have said in characterizing our negotiating position have not been accurate. There's no question about that. The United States is not going to be in a position of negotiating this agreement in public. And particularly when we see that there is a continued practice of cherry picking specific pieces of information and using them out of context to distort the negotiating position of the United States. So there is an obligation when you're participating in these kinds of negotiations to ensure that that those consultations and that those negotiations are carried out in good faith. And that means giving negotiators the room and the space to negotiate.
Turning to elections, and the Supreme Court has accepted the appeals by both Balad Memkei Hanan Zouabi and Utzma Yehudit candidate Baruch Marzel, allowing them to run for the next Knesset. Earlier this month, the Central Elections Committee voted to disqualify Zouabi by a 27-6 margin, while Marzel was banned by a close 17-16 vote. Zouabi, who is running on the joint list of Arab parties, said she had expected the court's verdict because the committee ruling did not have a legal basis. Said Marzel, "I thank God for making me win, but the victory is not complete. I am only partially happy because the judges compared Zouabi to me." The announcement was met with disdain from Foreign Minister Avigdor Lieberman, who stated that allowing Hanin Zouabi to serve again in the Knesset is a mark of shame on the forehead of Israeli democracy, which does not know how to defend itself democratically when it needs it. The Zionist Union said it accepted the High Court's decision, even though they opposed both Zouabi and Marzel running. A Jordanian hip-hop group has taken legal action against Prime Minister Netanyahu after his Likud party used one of his songs on a campaign video. Firasha Hadid of the band Tobeya of the Soil filed an injunction with the Haifa District Court stating that the song had been used without permission. Under the title Us or Them, the Likud clip depicts 4 men dressed as ISIS terrorists driving across a sandy terrain. At one point, the driver stops to ask the driver of the car next to him in an Arabic accented Hebrew, "How do we get to Jerusalem, brother?" The Israeli driver replies, "Turn left." The original song is called Gorbe, Alienation, and it's a hostile parody of ISIS.
مكانتي من ورا فني مشوه وشاري عن شعبي لشعبي ما له أي معنى خروجي من الأرض مسألة وقت فقط وعمل للأحسن مش لألقى أجر بالسماء بس بدي مكان أضمن فياته حق ابني أنا مش قاتل بس قادر مكانتي من ورا فني مشوه شاري عن شعبي لشعبي ما له أي معنى خروجي من الأرض مسألة وقت فقط وعمل للأحسن مش لألقى أجر إحما جيم ليغوش اللي يمحشلي خوس مولا.
It presented our clients as some kind of supporters for ISIS group, and apart from the copyright infringement, there was a harm done to the reputation of our clients. Therefore, we were instructed to file an urgent motion for preliminary injunction against the Likud party and its chairman, preventing them from publishing the relevant clip.
In Copenhagen, hundreds attended the funeral yesterday of 37-year-old Jewish security guard Dan Uzan, who was shot dead by terrorists outside a synagogue in the capital Saturday night. Security was tight, with snipers deployed on surrounding rooftops. Prime Minister Hele Thorning-Schmidt joined family members and friends to mourn his death. Chief Rabbi of Copenhagen, Yair Melchior, called for all sectors of society to unite in the wake of the terrorist shooting, stressing that dialogue is the only way to move forward.
If you want to do good, start doing that. Make a change. Make a difference. Do exactly like Dan did in his life. Not in his death, in his life, in his everyday. This is our message. This is Dan's message to everyone around.
Argentinian President Cristina Fernandez has inferred that the United States and Israel are meddling in her country's business. The brief comment came amid intensifying rhetoric and preceded a major rally in Buenos Aires demanding answers in the mysterious death of prosecutor Alberto Nisman 1 month ago. The accusations of meddling come at a time of increasing tensions as the Fernandez government struggles to confront a growing crisis since Nisman was found dead with a bullet in his head. Tens of thousands of Argentinians marched to demand answers about Nisman's death, a day before he was supposed to reveal to Congress his allegations of a secret deal which he claimed was orchestrated by Fernandez to drop pressure on Iran for the bombing of the Jewish Community Center in 1994, which killed 83 people, in exchange for favorable deals on oil and grain from Iran. Fernandez has repeatedly denied the allegations. It was one of the largest protests in 7 years since Fernandez took power. Protesters waved placards reading "Truth and Justice," while others held posters saying, "I am Nisman." Many in the crowd accused the government of being behind the murder. The march was organized by prosecutors who said the rally was in honor of Nisman and was not politically motivated. Defense Minister Moshe Ya'alon attended the Aero India Air Show in Bangalore, India, where he inaugurated the Israeli pavilion with some 15 Israeli defense companies showcasing their wares. Outside the pavilion, Ya'alon emphasized the importance of strengthening ties between the two countries, adding that India is vital to Israel's defense industry. Ya'alon arrived in India Tuesday, becoming the first Israeli defense minister to visit the country. India has been one of the most important export markets for Israel's defense ministry, spending more than an estimated $2.5 billion each year. The two countries established full diplomatic ties in 1992. Dozens of Christians and Muslim mourners took part in a symbolic funeral procession in Jerusalem's Old City last night in memory of the Egyptian Christians beheaded by Islamic State in Libya. The 21 Coptic Christians were marched to a beach, forced to kneel, and then beheaded by the terrorists. The Jerusalem March followed a prayer service near the Church of the Holy Sepulchre in Jerusalem. They carried a mock coffin with crosses painted on them and chanted slogans. In a show of support for his country's security forces, Egyptian President Abdel Fattah al-Sisi visited Air Force personnel stationed at an airbase in the west of the country and warned that Egypt will strike back at anyone who threatens its security. He also toured the border area with Libya. Earlier this week, Egypt became directly involved in airstrikes against the Islamic State for the first time, after some 21 Egyptian Copts were beheaded by ISIS on a beach in Libya. Their horrific killings pushed Sisi into expanding his battle against the Islamic radical group. Swiss police raided the premises of the Geneva branch of the multinational HSBC Bank after announcing they had opened a criminal inquiry into the bank's activities amid money laundering allegations. Earlier this week, the HSBC issued an apology to all its customers after information was leaked revealing that it had allegedly helped hundreds of its clients from around the world to dodge taxes. 10 days ago, details were leaked of some 40,000 secret bank accounts held by thousands of private individuals and companies from across the world. The information suggested the bank assisted clients in evading taxes to the tune of some $119 billion. Israel was found to rank 6th among the countries whose citizens deposited money in the banks. Well, as we reported yesterday, divers off the coast of Caesarea unearthed a hoard of gold coins that were over 1,000 years old. And now we have video footage of the divers in the waters as they removed some 2,000 coins from the Fatimid period of the 11th century that are thought to have come from shipwreck close to shore of the ancient Roman port. About 2 weeks ago, the first coins were cleaned off the bottom of the seabed when divers chanced upon a number of coins which they thought were toy objects. A subsequent search by experts netted about 1,000 coins, and an additional dive on Tuesday in the same spot yielded another 1,000. The total find is between 5.5 to 6 kilograms of gold, whose bullion value at current rates is about $250,000. It's expected the coins will give great insight into the raiding practices of the Fatimids and show that they were the first Muslims to utilize trading ships across the Mediterranean. The coins all contain Arabic script and were minted by the Fatimid caliphs between 996 and 1036 CE.
We found a great treasure of golden Fatimid coins. Probably belonged to a shipwreck that brought the hoard from Caesarea to Cairo, that was on the way and sunk in the area of Caesarea harbor. We know the coins. Okay, coins like this were found in a land excavation in many sites. Also in Caesarea, they found in the past a hoard of something like 100 coins. But this is for the first time that we found a so huge hoard for something like 2,000 coins. For the first time that the Muslims have a navy, a naval navy and a trade naval, and they continue to trade with all the Mediterranean cities, also with the Byzantine and then the Christians, even that they were in fight with them.
In entertainment news, the light opera group of the Negev is staging the musical Fiddler on the Roof. The English-speaking musical theater company brings us the show inspired by Shalom Aleichem's classic short story Tevye and His Daughters. It opens tonight in Beersheba and tours major cities throughout the country in February and March. The play will have you humming such classic hits as Tradition, If I Were a Rich Man, and Sunrise Sunset days after the curtains have been lowered. Let's have a listen.
The daughters, tradition, the daughters, tradition. Day and night must recognize the traditions to tradition,
Well, the Moscow Classical Ballet will be performing Spartacus in Israel with the curtain going up this evening, also in Beersheba. The show focuses on the story of Spartacus, a gladiator and freedom fighter who managed to free hundreds of slaves and lead an uprising against the Romans. The ballet is considered scandalous due to its erotic nature and daring scenes. The production features over 50 dancers in some 300 costumes. Following the show in Beersheba, Spartacus will be staged in Haifa, Jerusalem, and Tel Aviv through Monday, February 23rd. Well, now Jerusalem has seen it all. The gay community held a drag queen race in the capital. 40 cross-dressing runners participated in a high-heeled race and reached the finish line without falling. The event was organized by the Jerusalem LGBT, lesbian, gay, bisexual, transgender student organization and was partly funded by the municipality. Participants said that it was about the time that the Israeli capital hosted such an event. One of the featured performers, Lady Chocolate, came in from Tel Aviv, and he is rather, a drag queen at night and an IDF soldier by day.
Very excited, so happy. I'm a native. I was born in Jerusalem. I still live in Jerusalem, and it's so fun to see it happening in this city. It's about time.
I think it's very important that the event is happening, especially here. Jerusalem is the capital of Israel. Our Congress, the Knesset, is here. It's important that the people of this city will realize that there is a massive, major gay community as well. It's not an ultra-Orthodox city. We have gay people in the city as well.
I'm really surprised this is the first time it's happening in Jerusalem, because Jerusalem is really open for all the community, from all the colors, all the kind. And in Israel, we love all of the people. We love people because they are people.
Taking a look at the local finance on the last day of trading this week, and the shekel put in a mixed performance in foreign currency trading, while share prices on the Tel Aviv Stock Exchange were up across the board. Here's a look at the late afternoon numbers. And the weather. Stay warm and safe during the snowstorm, and here are the expected highs and lows at home and abroad for the next 24 hours. Well, that's our broadcast for today. Please join us again tomorrow at the same time for the latest news from Israel. Thanks again for joining us. I'm Ariel O'Sullivan, wishing you a warm evening on this snowy day, and shalom from Jerusalem.